You ask the same question every time.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Anyway,
are we live?
hey, we are live. Welcome to Game Central Junction, everyone. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer, who's looking like you're having a good time. If you guys want to have a good time, bring more people in here. Go share it out with somebody else. And if you enjoy yourself enough, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. While you're here, we'll read out pretty much anything that you say. And let's get started with the show. How you doing today?
Pretty good. I realized that there's a box in view.
There is a box in view. It's a
So
pretty big one.
That's your crate. That's where you're going to
okay.
sleep. Just kidding.
You know what?
No,
It's better than the floors.
no, it's a new shelving unit. I just need more. I've run out of shelf space. I mean, this is pretty much full. There's like one more shelf that I could put stuff on, but like, yeah, I have more comics and things to put up and or to put away. So I got a new shelf and a new lamp, and I'm getting a new couch this weekend. Actually, really nice couch that's in good shape. Oh, is this not muted? There we go.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, was there some background noise or something going on?
Sorry.
There? You know.
I guess I forgot to mute my laptop.
Mm.
So, yeah, and I figured out how I'm going to actually rearrange the furniture.
Oh, okay.
So the couch is actually going here. It will be facing the TV, as you would expect. And there's actually an alcove over there where I'm going to move. I actually have two desks.
Oh,
so
okay.
We can be live streaming and like facing each other or diagonal. We'll figure that out.
Well, that's better than the image I had in my mind. Because I always go with, like, the worst possible scenario. So, like, I thought I'd just be, like, at a countertop or on the couch with, like, my computer on my lap or something.
No. Well, I'm inspired by the. Have you ever seen like the Nick Rekieta streams where he has like what's his buddy's name? Drex.
Yeah.
And they look like they're in different rooms, but they're really just at a desk, like I think facing each other.
Was it with the longer hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen things like that.
I've seen a lot of setups like that. Yeah.
And I was like, trying to figure out, like, it feels like there's a lot of space, but there's a lot of wasted space because I think the furniture in here is just not very well positioned. So I think if I put the couch here, there's a whole bunch of space over there that I'm just not even using at all. So the desks can go over there. So I'll have a different background. Probably after this weekend because I'm going to get the couch and
Sounds
good
like
shape.
a plan. Yeah.
And there's I've looked up a 2-bedroom apartment that is exactly like this one, except there are stairs and there's like another floor.
Oh, okay. So it's almost like a townhouse apartment.
Yeah, it would be great because I'd know exactly where the furniture goes because the layout is precisely the same as mine. Except there's also a second floor with bedroom, bathroom, all that stuff.
What do they call them in literally anywhere but America? Flats.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting.
I always have to tell people like
getting stuff ready.
Friends up in like Canada or in Britain, which is where the term comes from. That it's like, do you guys have flats? Where it's like, yes, we just call them townhouses. That's what we call them here. It's like if you watched Full House. They lived in like basically a flat where like all the houses were connected to each other, but you still had your own separated house and like a garage. And
I thought a flat was the word for an apartment.
Yes, but like it kind of predates the way that like apartments are now. So like when the word flat came out, it was closer to the type of apartment space we call a townhouse, right? Like a lot of them would even be like 2 stories. They'd be more like crammed together. But yeah, I mean the word also just applies to what we would call an apartment as well. Like if you went anywhere else. Oh, and they started calling them townhouse. Maybe it might depend where you are in Canada because I have some like friends on the other side over in like Edmonton, and they use flat for some reason. I don't know if there was like an even heavier British influence in that area or not, but that's where I heard them use it. But.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm just looking. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know they use that word to mean townhouses too. But yeah, it's going to be a two-floor apartment. But we are looking for a house, though. Aiming for moving out into a permanent house in May, I think.
May's a good time
That's
to
when
move.
my lease is up.
In most places.
Yeah.
Probably not in Arizona, though. I think you'd probably want to do that earlier in the spring, but, you know.
It's not bad in May. I mean, it very quickly warms up in June.
Oh, okay, that's when it hits. I would have assumed it was like already 100 degrees in May.
I don't think so. I mean, it'd be in the 90s, but that's not bad for this area. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really get hot until June.
Okay. So that's actually... your absolute heat is worse than is here, but I guess we get hotter sooner where I am, because like by late May, if we're not in the 90s, like we're already in the hundreds sometimes by May, but then it doesn't really get any hotter than that for the rest of the year, because we pretty much don't ever peak over 110. It's happened a few times, but I know you guys can get up to like 120 over there, and it's like crazy. Yeah.
Although I don't think we've gotten that hot this year.
Because
I don't think we've gotten that hot this year. I think I've only seen it up around 111 this year, which is kind of out of the ordinary, because I'm pretty sure last year I got into the 120s. I remember that, but yeah, May the average high is 94.
Oh, okay.
So it could go up to 100, but rarely.
Yeah, we had
June. It's 104 is the average.
Yeah, I bet. But we had a guy over here doing the air conditioning ducts for when they're trying to sell the house or whatever after we're gone. And I was talking to him because luckily he didn't have to go on the attic today. But he was a young guy. I could tell he was younger than me and my brothers. And we were just talking about like shop talk, basically, because I've had to do attic crawls a lot. That's like one of the things people call, because I'm a very small guy, I'm very limber, and they're like, hey, you can run cables through our attics, right? It's like, yes, I can run cables through your attic. It's going to cost a bit because I have to deal with the heat. And one of the big problems here, I don't know if they do the same thing in Arizona, but to conserve on money, instead of like going up and properly taking the time to insulate the actual ceiling of the attic, they will just take a hose and they'll spray like fiberglass foam all inside the attic, which makes attic crawls miserable, because if you properly insulate it, then that also means there's something covering the nails from the shingles as well, and it also is easier to walk around. But when you have all of that foam, not only am I digging through the foam like a kid in a ball pit just to walk around, going through like rafters, but also I have to keep my head low so I'm not like hitting my head on the fucking nails. And it can get 20 to 30 degrees hotter up there than it is outside at the time. Like I've been up in like 130 to 140 degree heat for an hour on end running cables, and it's rough, but you know, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah, they did the same with well, I guess it wasn't a brand new house when I moved in. With the houses in Nashville, they do the same with just the foam stuff. I don't know. I guess they get a big old hose that blows it in.
Yeah.
But around here, so I've been looking at other options, like, you know, building a brand new home, and I don't know if it's required, but it looks like all new homes have like just standard. They'll put what do you call it? Solar panels on the roof. And, what was the other thing that I was noticing? Something that looked, I don't remember. And there's a lot of homes around here have swimming pools, so hoping to get a place that, you know, maybe the electricity will be lower if we have solar panels and be able to swim.
I think solar panels also help keep it a little bit cooler inside too, because they're kind of Just like an extra thing that's blocking the heat from hitting the house directly because it has to pass a solar panel.
Yeah, I made a mistake. Well, it wasn't really a mistake because it worked out fine, but actually many years ago had Bitcoin miners, or I guess they were Litecoin miners, and I put them in the attic because it was the only place where we wouldn't hear them because they were so freaking loud.
Did you fry any
but yeah, in the summer, no, actually, it would get very warm in there, and I don't remember. I mean, I think they ended up. I think in the summer, basically, they used more electricity than what they generated.
Oh, okay.
Value, just because the fans had to just go crazy. But, in retrospect, I should have put a swamp cooler up there.
Well, maybe.
I bet that would have worked.
Maybe, but there's a certain level of moisture that comes with a swamp cooler, so then you're going to have to do some extra things to protect the PCs that are running up there, too.
Yeah, I guess. But because Peach's apartment is a two level, and the freaking air conditioner just never works, or it doesn't do anything on the top level. And she's just been living through like 85 degree summers, and I'm like, how can you live like that? I got her 2 swamp coolers. Yeah, she has like 3 rooms up there, and it's great now. She'll get it down to like 60 degrees. I'm like, how can you even stand it being that cold? She's like, I love it.
Well, aside from the internet cutting us out on the Game Central Junction episode from when I was out of town, on the Super Serial Showtime, I realized why my computer ended up crashing that day. And it's because, well, normally the fan doesn't work optimally in this thing just because of how old it is and it's kind of like burnt out. So normally I have like this fan pointing at it just to help. If you're in a cool environment, it doesn't matter. But like I'm in a closet, so like the air conditioning doesn't get to flow in here, or I have to have like this louder external fan pointing in that some of it kind of picks up in the mic. I don't like to keep it open. But the the house I was at keeps kind of cool, but they keep it too cool. So I went up and I turned the air down, or I guess I raised the temperature so the air would cut off, and I forgot to turn it back on before starting the show. And anytime live streaming, having like OBS running and stuff, that's making my computer work harder. So I probably didn't realize how hot my computer was getting just sitting there, because I basically turned the air conditioning off. I'm like, no, I can sit in 80 degree temperature because it doesn't bother me. I could sit outside in 90 or 100 degree temperature. Obviously I don't want to be in 100 for too long, but if it's 90, living in Texas, I'm just used to that. Like I can chill outside in 90 degree temperature. It doesn't bother me. But it does bother your computer. The computer likes to be quite a bit cooler than that. And I forgot that it was comfortable for me, but not my machine.
Oh.
No.
Well, I hope you like it cool, because I usually keep it, well, when I go to work, I set it to 72. But when I come home, I set it to like 70 and sometimes 68. So
that's fine. Well, I mean, that's what they had it set at was
they're cool.
72. The bigger problem was less that it was so cool in there. It's that the only place that I ever set up is at the kitchen table, which has the draft from 2 different vents. Like one vent is pointing like straight at the kitchen table, and then there's the vent like from near the front door that also kind of points towards it. So it gets particularly colder in the spot where I sat than it was just being in 72 degree. I don't know.
I wonder how it'll be over there, because there's a vent over there, so it's not directly on me. But there's also there's another vent over there that will be directly. But I mean, it's pretty far away, so we'll see.
Like I'm comfortable inside this closet, but for some reason, most places I go, the place that just seems optimal for me to set up is actually always the worst place when it comes to, I don't plan it. I should always be looking up. I never bother to see where the vents are. And I end up in like a 3-way draft spot from like different things. I remember when I lived with Buck, until they moved me to the guest room, which was way more comfortable. That was the pink room that I used to stream from back then. I was at like the kitchen table set up so I could just do work. They had a really big drafting table in there. But the problem was the garage door was right across from the drafting table. And the way just the suction of the house was with the kitchen, there was an opening next to me that led into the kitchen because the kitchen was almost like an island. They opened it up, and there was like just 3 different drafts that would go right to where I was sitting. And I would wear a jacket in the summertime at the kitchen table just because it would drop down, not a heavy one, like a small little hoodie that you could zip up, because it would drop down to like 60 degrees. Which is a great temperature unless you're sitting completely still.
Yeah. It's weird how like I'll eat a bowl of ramen and be like, oh my god, why am I sweating like crazy? Especially because I put red pepper in it. Yeah. Typically. But yeah, I'll have to turn down the temperature like 2 more degrees just because I'm hot from the soup.
yeah. Or like you'll have to turn the temperature back up if you eat like a bowl of cereal because of all the cold milk in your stomach. Like what you eat has a huge impact on your internal temperature.
Yeah. Well, did you see? This isn't exactly about video games, but it's related. Did you see the upgrade to Grok? Have you heard about it?
Not, but yeah, that's appropriate for this channel. I saw people were messing around. I think I saw like you did a tweet or something at one point about it with what was it? Last of Us 2 is one of the ones I saw.
Yeah, they added image generation to Grok, and it actually, number one, it generates the correct race. Yeah, it generates the correct race of the person. Like if it's like a specific character or an actual historical person, unless you ask it to, it's not going to automatically generate a Black George Washington or,
as far as I know, Grok uses search index for all of its information. So if you ask about a historical person, it's probably going to be pulling from like encyclopedias and stuff like that.
Yeah. Whereas that Gemini, I think that the Google, is it Google that did Gemini or is that Facebook?
Gemini, I think, is Google's. Here, I could check to see what the name of Google's is. If I open up Gmail,
I think it's Gemini.
My main Gmail has had the AI added to it. I don't use it, but it's like right there at the top. Let me wait for Google real quick.
Well, it was funny whenever Gemini came out and people started doing crazy shit. That's the Google one.
Yeah, it's right there, Gemini.
Yeah. And what's funny is, I think what really got them to say, okay, let's shut this down and retool, was when people started generating images of the bad guys from WW2 only black.
Oh, okay.
Without even prompting it, Show me a picture of those guys, and it would give them a diverse sample. And it was like, interesting.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know that thing can even be fit.
And it was the bad guys who were all ethnically homogenous, right? It wasn't like Italy where they actually were kind of
no.
Right? Yeah.
The bad guys from Germany.
Yeah.
From WW2. The Nazis. I forget what show we're on.
Yeah. You can say whatever the fuck you want here. I don't give a shit.
Hold on. Whoa, hold on. Sorry. I hate that. I was on a website and it just suddenly starts blaring.
Oh, okay.
Music without even clicking on it. I'm like, whoa. Sorry. Anyway.
I thought you got distracted because Dragon Quest IV music was on.
No. I just suddenly heard someone screaming in my ear with music blaring. I'm like, what the? Oh, it's a stupid T-Mobile ad.
Yeah,
anyway,
say the word
they
Nazi on here. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I forgot. Of course. Yeah, it's. They would ask for show me pictures of German Nazis from from the World War II, and it would generate them all different ethnicities, and it's like, that's weird. But Grok seems to be accurate, and by default, because I didn't tell it to, like whenever you ask it to generate a woman, I mean, I haven't asked it to generate like a picture of a specific person, like a real life person, but I asked it to generate characters from video games. They were all beautiful and gorgeous, and not necessarily like huge breasts or in a bikini.
Though I
or
did
anything
notice
like
that Lara Croft was proportionate to what she's supposed to be in the older games.
Yeah, it was accurate.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I was like, oh yeah, let me think. What's the worst example of just an ugly woman in a video game? And I said, generate Abby from The Last of Us 2. And I think I said, full body view or something like that. Beautiful woman popped in, but it kind of looks like her. So it was just like, yeah, that's what she should have looked like. I mean, I know she was supposed to be like a bad guy, right? But
yeah, but
it could still be good to look at. And then I asked it again and slightly changed the wording, and it generated like 3 images of her from different angles, and with actually smaller breasts, which was just a coincidence. I didn't ask for anything like that, and but all still beautiful, just generally beautiful renditions of a human. I mean, it was really good.
Rick asks what AI generator it is. Grok.
It just added that to Grok. And then I asked him to show Ellie.
From the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Is that what it's from?
Yeah.
Originally?
Okay.
Yeah. And it generated a young woman who looked younger than the other one and a bit thinner, but beautiful. And I could probably give it more information, imagine she's been out in the wilderness, hasn't taken a shower in a month or whatever. Probably get a bit closer to the game, but still generates beautiful women. So that's nice. Seems to work great.
Yeah, I was just more impressed by its capacity to generate images, like how good they looked for something that is kind of like a text-based AI first, right? Usually if you incorporate imagery into some of these text-based ones, it's just not as good as something that was trained specifically for imagery. But all this stuff is advancing so fast that you can't even tell the difference between that and what's that other big one that's the word dream in it that everybody used. Can't even remember now.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
But you know which one I'm talking about.
It has dream in it?
Yeah.
I know of Stable Diffusion, Midjourney.
Midjourney. There's a version of Midjourney that has the word dream, one of the releases of it. That's what I was thinking of, Midjourney.
Okay.
It was it was on the level of one of the more sophisticated releases of Midjourney, and I was just surprised that a text-based one was at that level.
And there's DaVinci, I think, is another one. Midjourney. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of these now have different versions with different names, and I don't know what the difference is exactly, but they kind of, I guess, generate in different ways or something.
Well, I think some of them are forks too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that it's. What I'm assuming is this a separately generated. I don't think it's based on the text.
No. But
I don't know.
A lot of them, they'll get they're a copy of Stable Diffusion, or they'll pay for something, they'll incorporate it, and the image and the text, they still have to communicate with each other, and in the past they just haven't clicked. But all this stuff is getting more sophisticated that it's all clicking now.
Yeah. I'm actually curious, is it Dream Studio?
Maybe
or
that's
Dream
one of the ones
Machine?
I was thinking of. I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't remember the actual name. There's so many of them.
Yeah. Dream Mind? No, I don't know. Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, I think, are the most popular.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. But yeah, I'll go and, I kind of fiddle around with other sites, but I'm just going to use Grok from now on unless it can't do something. But it did have that weird thing. Did you see where I tried to generate an upside down person?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't catch most of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It doesn't understand when you tell it to flip something upside down or backwards or whatever, it gets so confused.
Yeah.
I was trying so I had a live stream with or not, I don't think it was off air, hangout with John Dillard, and he was trying to draw a picture of a guy looking at him from behind, so like his back, but he's hanging upside down, and his shirt is obviously kind of, going up like that. And he was trying to figure out exactly how high and how, how far, like if he was wearing kind of a loose, kind of a jacket or a button down. So I was like, well, let me try AI and see if it can just generate. Well, first I did a Google search and I couldn't really find any good pics like that. So I did AI and told it, generate a man wearing a loose button-down shirt, hanging upside down, looking at him from behind. It got so confused.
It called me up and be like, "Hey, could you just hang upside down?" I was like, "Yeah, I've got a pull-up bar. Like, I'll just get my brother to take the picture from behind."
Yeah, but it will show you an upside down person with the shirt right side up. So the shirt is like on wrong, upside down, or one of them, it swapped the legs and arms, so the legs were coming out of the armholes of the shirt because it was like an upside down man with his head down but legs down. It's like basically a head coming out of a crotch. It's weird. And then Grok, even it did an upside down guy, clearly the front of his body, like, and his hands were like on his hips upside down. So you could tell that it was the front of his body, but his head was backwards. So the back of his head, I was like, oh my God, that's so disturbing. Like, it cannot figure out how to do that.
Well, I think it's because none of these machines actually understand human anatomy or any of this stuff. Like, they're just pulling from images. So the bulk of the images they're going to be able to pull from are going to be portrait photos of people looking directly at the camera. Because that's most of
it hears upside down and backwards. Yeah, it hears upside down and backwards, and I think it applies that to different body parts and plugs them together, and it just looks like a monster at the end. So it's crazy shit. But try it sometime if you happen to want to try it. Just, a person upside down and backwards, and you'll get crazy results. Or anything. I haven't tried other things, but it's funny.
So we got a lot of video game news randomly. There was also a brief tabletop thing, which I don't think we'll actually get into. I just thought it was interesting that there is an Arkham Horror tabletop role-playing game that's coming out. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Neat.
I do like
Arkham Horror.
Yeah, it's like Lovecraft type stuff, right? Like the term Arkham, even like Arkham Asylum and Batman, is pulled from Lovecraft's works. I like horror tabletop games. I haven't really played it, but I've watched people play it, and it seems fun, like Call of Cthulhu, where it's like you're kind of just worried about dying at all times, right? Like,
Is that where you're like a housewife and you just wander around the house?
There might be a video game based off that, but there's a tabletop game called Call of Cthulhu based off of the actual story.
There is a game
of Cthulhu that Lovecraft wrote.
Yeah,
but it's very much it's a low agency game where it's mostly about making decisions, and your character's probably going to die or go insane or whatever, and you'll probably have multiple characters, and it's fun because it's all about like, how long can I keep this character alive? So I like games like that. Good Night Experience says Arkham Horror is awful as a board game. Might be. I've never played the board game that's associated with it, but it's going to have a full like tabletop role-playing game, and that might be more fun because you have more agency in tabletop role-playing games.
Yeah. From Chaosium.
Mm-hmm.
So is Lovecraft public domain at this point?
Yeah, more or less. I think like almost all of his works are. But he also kind of just left the world he was working in open in the first place. Like, he even had friends at the same time that started working in his universe, and a lot of people do. It's kind of like a loose thing where there are some people who own licenses and stuff, but for the most part, you could just fan fiction your way into Lovecraft's mythos as you please.
Yeah.
Which the actual proper name for it is not the Cthulhu mythos. It's the Yog-Sothoth, right? Like the word authorry, but Yog-Sothoth. Because Yog-Sothoth is like the head god deity thing of everything. That was the name Lovecraft himself used for it. So anybody uses anything otherwise, they're going against the man.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a fun one. Not really much to talk about there, but figured we'd get that out of the way. Pretty much everything else I have is video game related. We do have a rumor about Nintendo Switch 2 when it's actually be coming out. So they basically told everyone, like all the devs and stuff, not to expect the Switch 2 this fiscal year, like at all, which is kind of
and their fiscal year ends in March. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think Nintendo's year ends March.
The first quarter is the last part of the year, and it starts again second quarter. So kind of a lot of it has to do with
April
like school
1st
schedule and stuff. Is like all the business world kind of lines up with school and harvest. So
yeah. My company's fiscal year ended July 31st. It's weird. You can pick any month, arbitrary.
You can, really. As long as you have your taxes right, nobody actually cares when you start or end.
It's nice because I'm getting a year-end bonus, but I'm getting it either this month or next very soon. So, because the year just ended.
They were saying, though, that you can expect... What was it? I think it was either quarter 2 or 3 of the year after. But I think most people are looking at quarter 3. So we're looking at possibly a fall release when it does come out.
I mean, that's quarter 3 for them is October, November, December. It could be Christmas.
Yeah.
Could be a year and a half from now.
It might be holiday release. Hey, you know what? I think I have a theory. I honestly think is that they fully believe they can overtake the PlayStation 2, so they're stalling.
Oh yeah.
Everybody says it's because of delays. It's like they said it was supposed to come out, then there was chip delays and stuff, and that might be true. But I don't think it is. I think they're stalling. I'm going to call Nintendo outright here. They want to be the best-selling system of all time, and that's why it's taking forever.
I mean, they're coming out with a brand new... I know it's not like... I guess it's sort of a spin-off, but a brand new Zelda game. To me, I think they'd be stupid not to do Oracle of Ages and Seasons in the same engine. Why not?
Well, my brother brought up a good point when I was talking to him about it, that it's like they really don't want this new Zelda game to be the last major game on the system, right? Because if you were going to do that, you would actually want to make like a crossover game, and this isn't like the big debut Zelda game or anything. It's not like Breath of the Wild. So they wouldn't want, I think, this game to be the last major game on the system. They're probably planning a big crossover game that will be on both systems when it comes out. Probably not Zelda. That might actually be, if we get like a really late, what's it called? Full trailer. That might be when Metroid Prime 4 is coming out, because we've already seen a trailer for it, because it's near completion.
Oh yeah.
So that might actually be the crossover game.
There's no release date. There's no release date.
They did not give us an actual release date for it. They just showed that it's done enough that they have a trailer.
That'd be a good idea, because I'm guessing they're going to make sure it works on Switch, but do a 4K version that is spectacular and for the Switch 2 or whatever
it's
it
either
is.
going to be that or an unnamed
awesome.
Mario game. Those are the only two I can really think of at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems, oddly enough, it seems a little too soon for another full 3D Zelda.
Yeah.
So,
but it's not too soon for another Mario game because, I mean, think how long ago Odyssey came out.
Well, 3D, sure. Wonder
well,
just came
like
out.
what you would consider like a premier Mario game, which is what they've been treating those styles since 64 came out.
Yeah, yeah. Although, I'll tell you, frankly, I like the mainline Metroids better than the Prime series.
You know, there's a lot of those games where I kind of like the modern retro game more than I like the other ones. Like, personally, I do think...
Is it even
Metroid
retro?
Prime,
I mean...
Well, the retro style, right, of like how the game used to be. Because ever since Metroid Prime was released and they were doing the whole Prime series, if you were to make a game that were that 2D side-scroller Metroid, they would say that's a retro-style Metroid, right? New Super Mario Brothers comes out, they would say that's a retro-style Mario game. You have a top-down Zelda, that's kind of a retro-style Zelda, because that's how the franchises started. But then they have like these premiere versions that are all 3D. Personally, I think they're all kind of equal in their own way, but that's just how people frame it. Like there's like this divide between how they used to do the games and how they kind of want to do the games.
I guess. But I mean...
But like, I like the top-down Zeldas more, personally. I kind of like... aside from Hunters, which is my favorite personal Metroid game, I do prefer the side-scroller ones more than the rest of the Prime series. And Mario, I tend to like the 2D side-scroller ones over the 3D ones, even though I enjoy all of them, really, of all the franchises we just said.
I think of all those, I think with Zelda, I do like the 3D ones better for some reason. But I like the 2D Metroids and Marios better. So it's just personal preference.
Yeah. Same with Kirby. I've tried 3D Kirby's, which really there's not a lot of, right? Because even most of the 3D Kirby's have still been side-scrollers, but then you have like that newer one, the, what's it called? The Forgotten Kingdom or whatever it was named. And it's like, no, please just go backwards. The most 3D I want Kirby to be is whatever Crystal Stars or whatever it was called, Crystal Shards on 64. Like, I just want a side-scroller Kirby. I think 90% of Kirby games have been side-scroller. That's all I want. Don't try to bring it into weird territory.
Yeah. I never really got into Kirby. I played like a bunch of them just a little bit.
Yeah. But I think Kirby is primarily a combat game that's disguised as a platformer. Like, there's platforming in it, but a lot of it is like getting powers and actually fighting the enemies. It's just like a very child-friendly combat game.
Right. And it seems like, wasn't there one where it was like multiplayer? Kind of like 4 people.
There have been a couple.
Yeah.
Like Magic Mirror was one of the earlier ones that was multiplayer. They've had like what was that one that came out on 3DS that I think they ported to Switch? There's one that was basically like a live service game that you could play with other people.
Kirby?
Yeah. Like, it didn't actually have, like, Battle Pass or anything, but the whole thing was about, like, being connected to online and playing with other people. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Was that the Kirby's Epic Yarn?
No.
3DS.
Kirby Clash or something like that. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Kirby Triple Deluxe.
Was that it? I don't remember.
It's a multiplayer battle mode.
There's a Super Kirby Clash, which was a free to start multiplayer action game. That might be the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it was basically one where you downloaded it. It was kind of like free to play, and you had to play with other people. Like, it was the only way you could play, and it was like on 3DS.
Huh. I didn't think I knew about this.
And I didn't get far in it because, like, by the time I got around, not enough people were playing it.
Team Kirby Clash Deluxe?
I think that's the one I'm thinking. That sounds like the title of the one I was thinking of.
That's an odd Kirby game that doesn't start with the word Kirby.
Yeah.
Super Kirby Clash. That's on Switch.
Yeah, I think that's the basically the ported version that I was talking about.
Okay.
It's mostly the same thing, but they had to tweak it for the Switch and stuff.
Right. Interesting. I don't think I even heard about that. It's weird. Which is funny because if they want multiplayer, you'd think they'd market it better to more people.
You would. But yep, that's about the timeline for when we can expect the Switch 2. Which, even with like advancing forward and pushing back, my gut instinct from the very beginning, it's kind of falling in the timeline that I've been saying for years is when it was going to come out. So, always stick with your gut.
So, end of 2025, that's going to be almost nearly 10 years. Did the Switch come out in 2006 or 2007? Wait,
17, I think. I think it was 17.
16 or 17? 17?
I'm pretty sure it was 17. So it's still a little short from what they were wanting.
So nearly, like 8 3/4 years.
Yeah, but remember, my timeline was that it was going to come out at the end of a year, and then it was going to have like what you would call like a crossover or turnover year, where they're still supporting the Switch while the Switch 2 comes out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think
I
think I called it like almost right on the head of the nail there.
Yeah. I don't know why people thought that Fantasy Life of all games would coincide with a new Switch release. Like that was a rumor at the beginning of this year, and I was like, why Fantasy Life?
Now, if they said another Animal Crossing was coming out, then I'd be like, well, they really only do one of those per system. So then I would probably think that the Switch 2 is on the way faster.
Yeah. I mean, I love Fantasy Life, but it is a third party, like 100% third party. It had nothing to do with Nintendo, so it's funny.
Yeah, maybe they were thinking like maybe dev kits were given out or whatever, because usually when you get the actual date, it's because the dev kit was already given out and somebody leaks it. But since they're telling devs not to expect it, I don't think there's a dev kit even available right now for anyone outside of Nintendo proper.
Thought I heard something about devs, but maybe it was only first and maybe second party.
Yeah.
Dev teams had it or something. I mean, this early on, I would think there'd be a lot of changes. I mean, I don't even know if they...
At what point does the new FNAF game discussion begin? I've seen some gameplay of that. Probably not surprising from Markiplier. My brother was watching it. And honestly, it was probably the first FNAF game that actually looked like I would enjoy playing it. I've played like the first few. I didn't really enjoy them. I got why people liked them, but I didn't enjoy them. But the new one, it's like this like beat 'em up view kind of side scroller game where it's almost like a point and click adventure, but you control it like a beat 'em up game, and you're trying to like still run from things and solve a mystery. It's actually very similar to how I wanted to do the detective game that we were going to do, but then we ended up deciding to do something more flat instead. Obviously never ended up doing it. But I really like that type of aesthetic. I think it looks cool. I think having more agency also makes it scarier than the actual just like jump scare ones. And it kind of reminds me of Clock Tower. The old PC/PlayStation horror game.
Is this the sequel to wait a minute. Is this a sequel to Security Breach?
I have no clue. I don't even know the major plot. I watched 20 minutes of the game. I walked in to it already in progress, and then I walked out.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, okay. So I actually, I saw a trailer. There was like a trailer like from 8 months ago that was all like, 2D retro cell shaded, right?
Yeah.
Sort of. Or just.
Well, this game's all pixel.
Very, very retro.
Yeah.
So it's actually released.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so I didn't know if that was actually how they were going to go with this one. Is this like a full or?
I think
is
it
a
game, I think.
Full game? Oh, it's not like a side spin-off. It's not a spin-off.
Well, so it's because remember, Scott kind of stepped out, right? But apparently he still is involved in this as kind of like a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I think one of the first full games where he was not part of the active development team. But like I said, I barely have any information about this. I saw 20 minutes of Markiplier playing it. That's it. That is all my information about this game at all.
I can show you the trailer on Steam. Oh, we can do higher resolution. Oh, I won't do that high. Recently boosted our...
Oh, yeah.
I could go up to 1440 and 60 frames per second, but I won't do that to you.
Oh my god, what's that?
So,
there we go.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really expect this to be the
I think
the next FNAF. I thought they were. Yeah. Is that like Jeff's Pizza?
Yeah. And it's like my brother was explaining to me. It's like Hot Tub Time Machine, but it's actually Ball Pit Time Machine. Because when you go through the ball pit, you end up like going through time. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, they kind of turned it into like mini games.
Yeah. Oh, even Good Night Spoon.
This reminds me of. What's that?
The time traveling ball pit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the whole game.
So like,
is basically mini games.
Yeah. So this reminds me of what was the Pizzeria Simulator? Is that the one? Where it was all just mini games.
I don't know. I don't know too many of the side games or fan games. Like I just don't know too many of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like a side game. I don't think this is.
I have
like
no
a main line.
The thing that looks cool about it though is like, so it does have this kind of. Like I said, I don't know what 2.5D view or whatever. It's the same view you have in beat 'em up games. It's got that cool little view, but most of what you do in between are like these little mini game things. So you're trying to like not get pulled out of the vent or whatever. Or I saw one where he hid inside the golden Freddy outfit that you would recognize from the older games, and he basically had to at time hold his breath. So there's like a lung meter in there, and you can only hold your breath for so long, and you have to like time when you're holding it so you don't get caught. And I think incorporating all these different mini games to not just like what the kid is doing, but also there's like arcade games and other stuff involved is just I don't know, it's a more creative and more fun way of doing this stuff.
Yeah, it looked like there was skee ball. I'd pay for this just for the skee ball.
Yeah.
Which I'm terrible at, by the way.
Oh, I'm good at skee ball. I'm like really good at skee ball.
Yeah, this it looks a lot like Pizzeria Simulator, which I guess was technically sort of like a
Good Night Spoon says it is unfortunately a mainline canon game based off of the book series that also features the time traveling ball pits. I didn't even know the time traveling ball pits was in the book series because I haven't read any of them.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Nothing matters. It's
as long as the game is fun. That's
it's
all
in
that
the
really
series.
Matters, you know.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to, like, Dragon Quest, like out of the blue, just decided to do Dragon Quest 9 on the DS.
Yeah.
For no particular reason. So why can't Five Nights at Freddy's do a retro side-scrolling minigame game?
Do it up. All that matters is as long as it's fun. Like I said, to me, this is the first one I've seen that actually looks entertaining from my perspective.
Yeah, well, it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews. Released 8 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear
Speaking
anything
of
about
reviews,
this.
Valve is actually going to start changing how reviews work, including mostly ranking Steam reviews with a new helpfulness feature. More or less, they're sick and tired of people using the review system as a comments system than anything. When you could just go to the forum dedicated for the game. Like they still have like a BBS system where you can have discussion about the game. But people would have like meme reviews, joke reviews. They would put like ASCII art and stuff in there. So all that stuff is going to be deranked and put all to the bottom so that actual reviews, the point of the system, ends up at top.
Wait, but it's already been like that. I mean, right now it says most helpful reviews, and you can tell whether it's helpful or not.
Yeah, no, like they're just going to make this.
Hasn't it always been like that?
Apparently, they're doing something to where it's not even going to be a toggle or anything. This is just in a way it's going to work, period. That's what they're saying. So apparently the way they did before didn't actually solve the problem, so they're doubling down on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got no problem with that because
I don't either. It's a review system, you know?
As far as I know, as far as I can tell, it's always been that way. Maybe they're going to just tweak the algorithm or something, but interesting.
Yeah.
Because I can't change. I mean, unless they've already, I don't remember being able to change this, but it's ranked by most helpful based on user.
Yeah. No, I don't know
rankings.
if they've already implemented this. This
I can't.
Article was from 12
it.
hours ago.
Weird. I don't know. You know, I heard, speaking of kind of like, I don't know, toxicity or whatever, for some reason, I don't think I'm even subscribed to him, but I always get these shorts from Pirate Software, I think.
Oh, yeah. I like Pirate
the
Software.
Developer from Blizzard. Yeah. And he was talking about some game that solved the toxicity thing by tying how nice you are in game to your progression.
I've seen those videos, yeah.
Yeah. And that's an interesting way to do it. It's like, yeah, if you're nice to other players, you get more experience. I don't know exactly how they determine that, but it seems to work. System of a Down?
Oh, there's a song from System of a Down called Toxicity.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a good song.
Deep cuts.
Yeah. I like System of a Down. I actually went through, I still like System of a Down. I occasionally listen to it, but I went through like a really, really hardcore System of a Down phase in high school where I was just like listening to their stuff all the time. Okay. That and, which this is not obscure, but just less popular, Queens of the Stone Age. At about the same time, I was listening to a lot of Queens of the Stone Age.
I'm just looking through my wish list to see if anything's on sale.
It's funny.
Not really. I can take this off. I've got Cat Quest 3.
Yeah.
So did I have it last time?
Yeah, you talked about it, or you at least talked about it being out. I don't know if you said that you had it, but I think you said that you played it.
I think I was. Well, I played the demo several weeks ago. Maybe I had already started, but yeah, it's interesting. I haven't decided whether it's just different. It's hard to. I've decided whether I like it more or less than the previous two.
Yeah.
Different. Very different theme. The previous two both had a very, had sort of a medieval sword and sorcery theme to them both. And I think they took place basically in the same place. This one, completely different direction. It's all pirates. So you have a ship, which is cool, and the ship can, fire at other ships and can upgrade it and stuff. And it still has pretty much the same upgrade and gear system, although there's more gear because before, in one you had armor and weapon. That was it. In two, you had armor, helmet, weapon that could be a melee or a distance, usually magic weapon. So it got more sophisticated. In this one, you've got helmet, armor, like boots, accessory, maybe gloves. You can have a melee and a long distance weapon at the same time, which you can switch back and forth.
Yeah.
And magic. So it's pretty cool how they've.
If I'm playing a cat-based RPG, the only equipment I care about are the boots.
Yes, I think you can get different kinds of boots. Yeah, but the weird flaw. I don't know if it's a flaw or what, but you can upgrade any of the armor that you get in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like almost like the first weapon or armor that you get. There's very little incentive to change to anything else because it's fairly easy and cheap to just keep upgrading it. So by the time you get the next sort of type of armor, your existing armor is already better, probably. So
yeah. I think that the only way to mitigate that would be to actually have the equipment have different functions to them and have different requirements in the game. So like you could always come back as like, oh, this guy takes physical damage, so like if you had like a rapier or something, it would be good against him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had that at the beginning of the game, if you kept upgrading, it'd be good. But also this guy deals fire damage, so if you haven't upgraded your fire suit or whatever, you're gonna be tough out of luck.
Yeah, so it does have that. That is basically exactly what you said. There's different armor, either gives you more hit points or guards against fire, or makes you run faster, or makes you hit harder, or whatever. It does all that. So yeah, that's what it is. So it's just like
I think it's fine enough game design.
Well, sort of the so the protection level, as long as you kind of keep upgrading, it's almost always going to be the same from the first armor you get, presumably, to the last, or maybe the later armors start out higher or something, but yeah, they all give you different abilities or different boosts. So that's what they did. Pretty cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
We'll see. It looks really long because in the very beginning, there's an inn you can go to, or a tavern that has like wanted posters. It's basically all the bosses. And so you can see, and there's like 20, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 30 bosses. I forgot to count. I'm like, dang, this game goes on and on and on. It's just like you can see the list, and as you beat them, that kind of crosses them off, and it's pretty cool. So fun game.
Cats
if you like
bounties.
Yeah, if you like cat puns, and kind of it's like the top-down version of Dark Souls, in that there's a lot of tumbling out of the way and trying to avoid getting hit, although a lot easier.
Yeah, it's just an action game. Traditional style in that way.
Elder Scrolls Shelter style game.
Elder Scrolls Castles. I actually have an article of that up in case Fizchozo came around, because he's been asking about it, and it does say when it's actually launching, but apparently he already knows. So I guess I don't have to talk about it.
Is it launching on Switch or everything else?
I believe it's an Android and Apple devices, so it could be on Switch. Probably, I don't know. It doesn't look like it has that high of requirements. Like, I think an older Android phone could play it. But it's got like certain RPG elements to it as well. It's going to be like Fallout Shelter, but castles.
Yeah. I'm just looking through a list of upcoming Switch releases. Already?
Well, we do know September, it's going to be Echoes of Wisdom. Which I think from this trailer, it just has a single frame. THQ Nordic is going to be working on Echoes of Wisdom. So I think it's going to be like how Minish Cap was made by Capcom. I don't know. I'm not playing the trailer. It's just the very first frame of this Echoes of Wisdom trailer has the words THQ Nordic on it. So that's the most I'm willing to dig into that at this moment. And Epic Mickey Rebrushed is coming out soon, which I think is the like HD remastering of Epic Mickey.
Is that a good game? I never played
Epic Mickey was actually really good, yeah.
Okay.
It's a 3D action like platformer game where you play the classic Mickey Mouse. In the first one, you had to deal with what was his name, Oswald, the old other cartoon character by Mickey, the Lucky Rabbit, who was like jealous that Mickey got all the attention, so he like was distorting the world and taking things away from him. So you had to go and like bring order back to everything. And in the second one, Mickey and Oswald ended up working together. Epic Mickey 2.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about both of them, but I don't really know as much about the sequel other than it was supposed to be like, because both of them there, you could do co-op stuff. The first one I've had more experience with, and it's a pretty fun game.
Cool. Yeah, that's coming out on Switch, right? Was that originally on?
It was a Wii game.
N64? Wii. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna look for this. Elder Scrolls. Apparently, it is on iOS. All right, cool. I liked. What was it called? Vault.
The Vault Dweller,
Vault one,
or was the Vault Shelter, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Fallout Shelter.
Fallout Shelter. That's it. Yeah.
You played as Vault Dwellers. Yeah. I played a lot of that, and then I just stopped. But there's a certain point, like it was built that you could replay it and do multiple runs and stuff if you really wanted to. Because after you experienced it once, it's like,
Yeah, I typically play those games until it gets to the point where like the next upgrade is going to take me a month.
Yeah,
because it's like, or I could pay $50 and. So
I'm pretty sure.
Sorry, I'm jumping around.
I don't know if the service is still around, but if it was, pretty sure everyone in my vault is dead.
I think it kind of pauses. Like there might be a little bit of offline stuff happening.
I would feel better thinking they're all dead.
Okay. Why? Okay, so I went to the Epic Mickey.
Yeah.
Also by THQ Nordic. Is that why you brought that up? Because that's also THQ Nordic? Or is that a coincidence?
I think that was just purely a coincidence of things that were coming out in September.
Huh. That's funny. And it has this huge pop-up about, can we use all your data? Can we data mine you to death? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to use all this. But anyway, cool.
Well,
that's actually coming out for like every platform.
Not surprised.
It's Disney, not Nintendo.
Yeah.
Can do what they want.
But let's
except for the WonderSwan color, it's not coming up for that.
I don't think anything's ever coming for the WonderSwan color again. Hopefully, if anybody's smart, there might be a brave individual out there, but brave and smart are not always the same thing. But what do you want to do? Do you want to have the experience of or at least the watered down light experience of creating an MMORPG? Have you ever wanted to know what that's like? Well, you might be in luck if that was the case, because the same team behind Let's Build a Zoo is creating a game called Let's Build a Dungeon, where you're going to be creating an MMORPG, and part of it is even like making sure you're hiring the right devs to be working on it, actually like trying to grow the player base or whatever in this small thing. It looks kind of fun. I watched the trailer before coming on here, and I didn't have as much interest in Let's Build the Zoo, just because like I don't know, I kind of liked Zoo Tycoon and older games like that more than what they were showing, but Let's Build a Dungeon version actually looks kind of cool, and I like the pixel art style of the MMO that is being built in there. Might check it out.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I saw a brief trailer or video about this, and I didn't get that it was like creating an RPG. I thought it was just actually creating a dungeon, like it's,
that would have been cool
playable,
too.
Like you're creating a game,
like a Zelda dungeon maker thing. That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's kind of that because you can play it.
Yeah.
But also with a sort of this, we're building a game meta and you're trying to sell it to people and stuff like that. That's neat. Oh, it has a little Steam like ranking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And ZooTube.
Yeah. And you have to like manage schedules, advertising campaigns. You have to build relationships with the press. So it is trying to give you just like a outsider's view of what it's like to work on like an MMORPG.
Interesting. Oh, I see. So this is the same company that did Let's Build a Zoo. Yeah. Huh.
Fizchozo asks, when will somebody make a game where Mickey Mouse interacts with fairy tale characters? Well, they were going to do that, but then Disney's like, says to Square, you're not allowed to have Mickey Mouse die for some reason, even if it's game mechanics. And you're like, okay, well, what if Mickey's the king and we just put our own creative character in the spot we were going to put Mickey? He's like, yeah, sure, this Sora guy, he flies. That's cool. Yeah, he can die over and over. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. That teeth. So Mickey was going to be the main character?
Yeah, in the original draft of Kingdom Hearts, it was going to be Mickey, Donald, Goofy. Huh. But then they were like, for some reason, you're like, yeah, Mickey's not allowed to die, even if it was main game mechanics, because he's Mickey Mouse. So,
yeah.
What's his face? Nomura just used a character he was already drafting and put him in the place of Mickey Mouse, and that's where Sora comes from.
I'll tell you one thing. When he does become public domain, he's going to die, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They're going to make horrific renditions of him.
See, Sir Gentlebread says, I saw my buddy playing that game, I think. I don't know, maybe it's in early access. That might be possible for somebody who played it. He was making an MMORPG and put everything behind a paywall.
Oh, man.
I wonder how successful that would be in game.
Yeah.
You might bleed your audience really fast that way.
I guess it depends. Yeah. You'd have to be a pretty good game, I guess. Get people addicted until
they
have to pay to keep going.
You want to hear some good news for the industry?
Sure.
So, you know how, like, video games have just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're taking up more storage space despite everyone yelling? Well, all of the recent Call of Duty games have been getting massive, and they've promised, they're saying, that Call of Duty games are going to be getting smaller, not bigger. They're actually going to be finding ways of reducing the file sizes, starting with Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 is going to be smaller than the Call of Duty game to come before it. Now, I don't know if that's going. Microsoft is making that decision since Call of Duty comes from Activision and they now own it. But somebody is making the decision that these games are getting too big and players don't like it. It is just eating up their storage space. So we're going to try to trickle it down smaller if possible going forward. It's only one dev group, but it's a really big and popular game. So I think that's a good sign for the industry that people other than Nintendo are trying to reduce file sizes.
I mean, I can't figure out why they're so big to begin with. I mean, just from textures and...
I'm going to say it's also a combination of incompetency and laziness, where it's just like, we're not doing anything to make it smaller. We're not compressing it. We're not trying to be more efficient about things. We're just doesn't matter. storage is cheap. You can buy an extra terabyte. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's why frankly, honestly, one of the main reasons I stopped playing Ark was just...
so fucking big.
I think it was 500 gigabytes.
Well, because, like, I know the base game's not that big, but anytime you want an asset, like, you're going to... We want to try this new map. It's like, well, there's 100 gigs or whatever for that map, you know?
Oh.
Got to download the dinosaurs you want to play in and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I think that game was the main reason I bought a second hard drive on this computer that is another 2 gigabytes. So, yeah, it was. I bought a 2 terabyte hard drive secondary just so I could play Ark, and I was just like, it's using up a quarter of this gigantic drive. It's ridiculous. So I was like,
we have to start buying our hard drives in like orders of 10 terabytes.
Well, I mean, you know, on the other end, I can sort of understand where did I don't know where they went. I think you've seen them. I've got a hard drive like that big. It's an external. That's 4 terabytes. You know, because my Arc hard drive I bought several years ago, and it was very pricey. But the 4 terabyte one was just, I don't know what it was.
Well, like, you know how like smaller server loadouts almost look like a toaster on its side, where you can like pull out hard drives and put it back in. I feel like people are just gonna start having those in like 10s and 20s, where they're just like switching out the hard drives and stuff.
Well, if they could get. I mean, well, honestly, I've run like virtual machines off of that external hard drive. It's so fast. It's like the X10, whatever it's called, something or other. It's a fast hard drive, and it goes through USB 3, and so I mean, I can sort of see like, well, to a limit, like why take too much time compressing stuff when it's like hard drive space so cheap, but it's gotten out of hand.
It has. It really has. I mean, even like I play these Hoyo games, and all of them are getting so big, right? I think Genshin.
Oh, really?
Genshin, I think, is like bordering on 90 gigs now. Like Star Rail is like 60, maybe almost 70 gigs. I think the recent update to ZZZ was like 10 gigs, and that's a new game. It's like, God, please, spare me. Give me a smaller texture, like a packet, right? Like, give me an option. It's like, I don't need these like ultra HD. Just old school HD. I'm fine if it's gonna save some space. I don't need it. I'll play the game at 480p. I don't care. Just let me not die or kill my hard drive. You know.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was looking to see if I had like Genshin Impact or something installed on my laptop, which I don't. But I do have World of Warcraft. It's a very old game, but I mean, you know, they keep updating it.
Yeah.
Total install is less than 8 gigs. Crazy.
Yeah, but you only have like the classic stuff on there. You don't have retail, right?
I think I do have. I think that's classic and retail together.
Because I cannot imagine retail is that small.
I'll look on my...
Yeah, let me look.
On my PC. On my PC, I have like 3 or 4 different versions installed. Unless the data is somewhere else.
Maybe.
I'm just looking at sort of the main install folder.
Okay, because I'm looking... I just Googled how big the file size for retail WoW is right now, and I'm getting like 70 gigabytes, which is still not that bad, because like Final Fantasy 14 is bigger than that for a game that's not as old. Actually, maybe they should bigger than that.
Maybe I do only have classic installed. For some reason, there is a retail folder on that computer, but that doesn't mean anything. Oh wait, there's a data folder. I bet it shares. Yeah, there's 116 gigs.
Yeah, that sounds more appropriate. Yeah.
Never mind. But still, that's a lot less than you said. What was 200?
Did I say something was 200?
I don't know. Maybe you said
I said Genshin was like
something
90.
was 90. Okay.
Final Fantasy 14 is like 100 and something now. It's like 110 maybe, 115. I don't know. Maybe it might even be bigger than that. That's a huge game. Let me look how big 14 is at with Dawn Trail.
Why did it only show 8 gigs? Curious.
No, I know you need 80 to install it. What's with the what is it with all of the expansions? That's what I want to know.
Well, anyway, do you want to talk about October?
What's going on in October?
Because that's when Fantasy Life I is coming out.
Oh, okay.
It's yeah, I can't believe I have to wait 2 months for that. Oh, and they're releasing
too.
Okay, I was just gonna say they're also releasing the Cat Quest entire trilogy in one package.
Oh, that's
in
cool.
October, but I already own all 3 on Switch. So, but anyway, go ahead.
Real quick, we do have a question. How difficult would it be to build a visualizer for neural networks? Extremely, probably, because you'd have to actually know how the neural network operates and what you're mapping things onto. Like, building a visualizer itself is not going to be that hard, but it's got to map to things, and that's where all the difficulty is going to come from.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I've confirmed on this laptop I only have Classic installed, so that's what's 8 gigs.
Yeah, I can imagine
Classic
Classic's like very small. And that's still probably bigger than what it was back in the day, just because now it's got to fit to modern resolution. But, you know.
But yeah, modern is another 100 or so, 110. Crazy.
Yeah, that 70 that was marked is probably before all the patches and stuff get installed for like hot fixes and everything like that. It's like the base install before you start fixing it. But yeah, so another gacha game. I was playing it earlier today. I've had it installed for over a week now, but I haven't had it patched for over a week because it kept giving me issues trying to update it. And I'm like, what's the problem? Turns out it was just it kept disconnecting during the update. Something that just like happens because it has to use the Google Play Store to update even on your computer. So the solution to that is to just sit here and wait for it to reset. And if you hit for it to update again, it just, the amount of data it needs to update keeps shrinking. So it's like, oh, eventually I'll get through this thing if I just keep going through. And then once I'm in, it's like very low specs. It has no problems. I don't even get any stuttering or anything because it's a almost retro style game. Very fun, actually. I've been enjoying it.
What's it called?
Brown Dust 2. I've never played or heard of the first Brown Dust, but I've been hearing some things about the second one. It has like, I think 3D models. I'm not sure. It could be sprite based and they're just all drawn by hand to look almost like 3D models for the characters. But it's a very like old school isometric style game, turn-based RPG. That has these really nice, like, live 2D drawn animations for all of the characters. Similar to like how, like how not 3D modeled VTubers, but like the live 2D, like drawn VTubers are. All the animations are done like that. So it's a very sexy game, I have to say. Like when the characters are doing their moves, they have a lot of very, very hot and sexy women there. But the core gameplay is this sort of like isometric, almost like how Final Fantasy Tactics looks when, like the way the characters are. And you walk around the world, almost like you would an RPG or like an old MMO or something. And it feels like you're just playing an RPG. Some of the same compliments I gave about the Octopath Traveler gacha game, where they've got this full fleshed out world. There are quests. There's a story going on. You can level just from fighting things, but also you can level by dumping resources into the characters. I'm
just watching some of the videos on their website. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, because they're probably showing off the actual character animations. So the actual combat of the game, when you get in there, because it's a turn-based RPG, is you have this 12 square grid like 3x4 on each side. So the enemies have one, you have one. So the combat is based on like where you put your characters in your grid. It's basically 3 columns with 4 rows, and whichever one you line up with, the enemies will attack the ones that you are the column you're lined up with, and you'll attack them. Unless there's nothing in your column, then the characters will jump over temporarily. So a lot of the strategy is just moving your characters around. It's a little more complex too than some of like the Hoyo games where you only have like 1 or 2 moves. Your characters can have several different moves as you level them up. They might start out with 2, but then they might get like special moves that take up the little dots at the bottom of the screen, which you, if you're strong enough, you might even instant KO an enemy with those moves. And turn order matters too, so you can manipulate the turn order of your characters by dragging them in front of each other. So it's a pretty high strategy game, I would say.
I'll share this. I kind of wanted to watch a little because the very first one that I was looking at was like practically enough to get us banned. I mean, I was like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, it's a very risque with some of the stuff.
I mean, I know they're anime characters, but the first video I looked at, I was like, whoa, no, I'm not going to show that.
Yeah, they're in the middle of like a summer event. I'm not really far enough to do anything in the event right now. I think I'm close enough. I think your characters have to be on average level 40 before you can start clearing things in the event. And I only just started playing today. But I've been like creaming through upgrading my main team. One of the cool things is it's one of those games that give you a base like infinite roll. So you get a 10 pull that has a guaranteed like SSR, like top rank unit in there from the standard banner. And you can just keep re-rolling until you get the one you want infinitely. And once you hit confirmed, you're good, right? So I picked a very, very sexy dark-haired mage because those are the type of characters that I tend to like the best. And I've just been rolling. The main plot to the game seems to be that like there's this girl, Justia, and there's a guy whose name I'm already forgetting because good luck asking me to remember a bland guy's name. But they're like cursed people. And you have to fight like these warlocks who are putting these curses on different people. They're summoning like undeads and demons and stuff. And it's basically trying to rid evil from the world type plot. Very classic. But I mean, it's fairly dark too, because the first plot line of the game so far, the main character's sister died. Like you see her die in front of you. So they're not against killing characters. I kind of like games where they're willing to be a little dark. So I've been enjoying it for the, I think, 3 hours that I put into the game earlier today.
Okay.
That's the guy with the dark hair and the white bangs. He's like I think the main actual character you're playing from his perspective. I cannot remember his name. Does it have it in there? Lethal. Or Lathel. That's why I can remember her name. It's such a weird name. But like that girl, Misha. Spoiler, since I already said it, she dies. His little sister.
Oh, okay.
Child sacrifice at the very beginning of the game.
But you can play as. Do you have to play as him, or?
For the story, he's the one they give you. I'm sure you could probably just pull him out of your party because it gave me the option to do that. But it's a gacha game, so you can play as like
when you said
any of the characters that you pull.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you said that you did something with a dark-haired character.
Oh, I pulled this really sexy dark-haired mage girl because I like dark-haired girls, especially those who cast magic.
So she's just
she's in my party. Yeah.
Okay.
But you can make your party.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how this.
Want.
Okay.
You have
trying to
five members of your party is the team, so you can move them in the squares however you want.
Ooh. What about this one? It's funny. Yeah, the earlier.
Oh yeah, I've seen her skill. She ends up upside down and like her butt and boobs are in your face at the same time.
How does that work?
Oh, that's actually the same girl. That's a different costume for her. Sherazade. That's the name of the. Her
Oh,
base
okay.
model is a maid. That's the one I pulled. But this like
Uh-huh.
spy side universe thing. This is another skin of her.
Huh.
So the classes are costumes. So you could get multiple costumes of the same character.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's starting over.
Yeah.
Let me see that again. Did you see the school? I might as well show it. I mean, I don't think I can.
But there, actually, the blue one that was right next to the main character that you passed. It was like 2 ago. That's the Scheherazade. One more. Her. That's her base outfit. That was the one I pulled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's the same character we just looked at.
Mm-hmm. That's just a different outfit, but this is the one I have. You can get this off the infinite reroll. I think her special move has like a skirt flip or whatever. Like again, this game has no qualms about. Yeah, there we go. No qualms at all about being sexy. I highly appreciate it. It was a South Korea company. It's actually the same company that made Liza P. That kind of like Dark Souls like game. And
yeah,
I already had it downloaded. And like I said, I've been having trouble getting it to download at first. But then in between downloading it and starting it, Tectone had a sponsored section of one of his streams where he was starting to play it. So I got to see more gameplay. And I thought the cool thing was that the company itself was cool. A lot of companies, even like Nikkei, which you've seen how risque Nikkei is, right?
yeah.
Nikkei's like, you can't talk sexually about any of our characters during the promotion or ad periods for a game. And like, what? Have you seen your own game? But this one, when he went over and he was like, what can I and can't say? The only restrictions they said is that we want you to talk about the characters. We want you to actually speak your mind, like whatever your actual opinion is, say it. But you cannot talk about politics during the promoted section, and you can't talk about other games. It's like that's the only restrictions. It's like, yeah, that's it. So he's allowed to talk about as sexy as he wants about the characters. Like, you're a cool company. You know what your audience is. You're being real about your game.
How does this look like degeneracy? It's an RPG.
No, yeah, the normal gameplay does it. If you turn off the skill animations, sure, but if you have the skill animations on and you see this stuff,
oh my! See, perfectly wholesome.
Yeah, but it's a very
wholesome made,
very fun game. Honestly, like if you like
tell.
RPGs, if you like strategy, there's a very strategic, expressive game, right?
She just had to lift her legs up because the knives were going to hit her.
That's
the only reason that happened.
It was for her own safety.
That's right. Don't you want people to be safe? Come on. Just because she's in a maid's outfit doesn't make it degenerate. All right, enough of that. I'll stop sharing now.
But yeah, I'm probably gonna play some more later on, prog through it. But I think it's a fun game. I would definitely recommend it. If you are somebody who does think it's degenerate, you can still enjoy it because none of that has like anything to do with the story. You could just turn the skill animations off. There's an option that you could just turn them off altogether.
Yeah, we wouldn't be so shocked about all this if we weren't so repressed and censored over here in the West. It's like there was no actual nudity and no,
not at all.
Sexual anything really.
But it did show some of the absolute territory, which is one of my my favorite parts. You know what absolute territory is? Or do I have to explain that? Okay, it's a name. There's a Japanese word for it that translates to it. I actually, let me look up the word real quick, just so I have it right. If I type in absolute territory, it'll come straight up. But it's the area between the stocking and like wherever the shorts or skirt ends or whatever. It's that one area of the thigh when somebody's wearing like thigh-high stockings, the skin that shows. That's in between like the underwear and the thigh or whatever. That's the absolute territory.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, it also kind of showed a bit of.
Oh yeah, it definitely showed more of that, but
the area between the inside of your leg and other places, but technically all it was
Ryuki. That's it. That's what it's called. It's Zetai Ryuki. It means absolute territory. It's my favorite section.
Why does Fitzjozo he sees a sexy character and he's like, I just want to kill it?
Because
the most
he's
horrifying
a
way.
Individual. That's why.
Yeah, I guess. Oh boy. I don't know. I mean, I guess, hey, the two things that seem to sell the most are sex and violence. So
yeah.
Seems like combining them makes sense. That's what, frankly, half the movies of the 80s were. It was like half sex and half violence. And
pretty much.
Sexy people being violently murdered. So I guess it sells.
Or sometimes sexy people just being violent. Like they're the ones doing the murdering.
Right.
It went both ways.
Yeah. Works for me.
Yeah. But I enjoyed that, yeah. I also enjoyed ZZZ had their story update this last week on like Tuesday evening. And that was pretty fun. I hit Internaut level 50, so I'm pretty far into the game now, but I think that that game is moving pretty smoothly for people who like that kind of thing.
Cool. Hey, I've got Vincent all the way up to level 80.
Nice.
Which is the highest level currently.
I did remember to log in sometime this week already, so...
If you log in every day, you can get our guild with 200 experience.
I would definitely remember to log in more frequently if it wasn't a pain in the ass to log in every single time I try.
Maybe we can fix all your things when you come here where I have decent internet. We'll get you a new Android phone or something.
Like I said, the Android phone is not the problem. The Android phone can play that game flawlessly. It's getting into the account that is the problem on that phone. For some reason, Square will not let me sync the account up. I'm going to have to yell at customer service or something like that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Back in the day when sex and violence only happened in our homes, not our TVs. What day was that? Like the 50s?
I don't know. When did BDSM start becoming a very popular meme? Not the fact that people always did private stuff
80s.
Behind doors, but yeah, 80s. Yeah.
I'd say the 80s. I don't think it was that popular. I mean, it might have been popular in the 70s, but in secret. I think it became it became a thing when it started showing up in movies.
Yeah. Because people always did things in secret, and we just don't know what they were doing. Unless somebody did something in a brothel and you could overhear what they were doing. But, it wasn't in media or anything until, the 80s.
Man, yeah. I'm rewatching, speaking of brothels, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And, God, that show is so good for the first 5 seasons. Oh, so good. So good. I just watched the episode called Hard Home, and oh my God, such a good episode. If you're familiar.
Oh no, I'm familiar. I am. We need to be wrapping this show up though, unless you have anything else game related you want to say.
Not really. I'm bulging my eyes because
anything.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to having contacts. And
yeah.
I gotta go take them out because I left them in too long last night, and so my eyes today are just dried out. So I'm kind of opening them.
Well, I saw
feel like they're sticking together.
Earlier this week or late last week, where you were saying asking for a friend, where the contact got
Well, I thought a contact went back up into the back of my eye. Turns out, I guess when I went to go take him out, it fell out without me noticing. Okay. So I later found it on my counter, dried out and ruined.
Well, that's good, because that would be awful if it had fell into the back of your eye.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm oh, my eyes are dry. I probably need to take a day off and wear glasses again for a bit.
Probably, yeah.
Tell me something. Does it look like I don't have eyebrows?
I mean, I could definitely see them, but it looks like they're barely there.
From a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. It almost like they're blending into the ridge of your brow line. Yeah.
Yeah. I never, when I was wearing glasses, I never noticed how blonde my freaking eyebrows are. It's so weird.
Oh, like half the time you can't see mine. But, you know, with my platinum blonde hair, it kind of makes sense that my eyebrows would be as blonde as they are.
Yeah. Oh, do you know anything about the broccoli slang Goodnight Moon Spoon is saying?
Broccoli slang?
Yeah. What does broccoli mean?
I've not heard this.
I have no idea.
I'm out of the loop.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, it means weed.
Oh, okay.
Slang for weed.
I've never heard that slang for weed.
Me neither.
Yeah.
It means marijuana.
Sounds like yeah, devil's lettuce. Sounds like some the type of slang people who don't engage in it or hang out with people who engage in it would say, like something you'd hear from
pot,
like a church or something like that, you know. Because I hear a lot of slang for the Mary Jane, but I also hang out with a lot of people who smoke it, so a lot of what I hear is actually like the in-crowd stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'd skip right past that and go straight to the opiates.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Go straight to the coke and LSD.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a show because we don't have any other topics that are like I had some backup things worth it, but we're at the end and most of them suck. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed it, please share it out. Get more people in here. We'll have a good time. And if you really enjoyed it, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Really helps us out. And I don't have something scheduled for Saturday, but I'll probably figure out a movie night between now and then. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on Monday. And take it easy.
See ya.